Austin Reaves seemingly came out of nowhere. He was drafted out of Oklahoma, and the thing is, he wasn't a bad college player either. He averaged 14.8 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists per game in the Big 12, which is one of the better conferences in all of college basketball. And if you didn't know, the reason he wasn't selected on draft night, because according to the Silver Screen and Roll, Reaves turned down the offer to be drafted to the Detroit Pistons. Pistons fans probably aren't too happy about that, but the reasoning actually kind of makes sense. It's because the Los Angeles Lakers gave him a call on draft night and promised him they would sign him to a two-way contract if he went undrafted. The night before, the Lakers had called, Austin Reaves said, and said if for some reason I go undrafted, that they wanted to be the first place that said, hey, we've got a two-way for you. And so going into the draft, we knew that I was going to have a two-way contract in L.A., so we were in a good place with some contract stuff and things like that. So going into the draft, we didn't really press. I think Detroit called it like 41 or 42, whichever pick they had, and we're like, we'll take him on a two-way. And it was really just more of a situation where I wanted to be where we saw the best fit. And he was definitely right. The Lakers really proved to be the perfect fit, because in year one, he averaged 7 points, 3 rebounds, and nearly 2 assists per game. And yeah, those numbers aren't great, and he also only shot 31% from 3, which is well below average, but to understand the player that Austin Reaves was in year one, you have to look away from the numbers and stats because they don't tell the whole story. He was a tremendous hustle player who dived on the floor for loose balls and hustled and outcompeted at a high level on the defensive end. And not to mention, he showcased a pretty versatile offensive skill set. He really did do everything at a decent clip. He was a very good cutter and off-ball player in general. Like a lot of hustle players, he became a fan favorite pretty quickly, and he was also pretty well liked by LeBron James. James loves playing with high IQ players who just have a great understanding of the game and play the right way. And of course, we all know that the Lakers had a horrible year last season, and they not only missed the playoffs, but the play-in tournament as well. But Austin Reaves did cap the season in historic fashion. In the Lakers' last game of the season, he dropped 31 points, 16 rebounds, and 10 assists in a comeback win. That was a monster triple-double, and it foreshadowed what was to come this season. So now we've got a little backstory of his career and a brief recap of his rookie campaign. But now let's talk about how he's been playing this year, right now in 2023. Austin Reaves is averaging 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists per game while shooting 52% from the field, 86% from the free throw line, and 38% from 3. So he really did improve from his rookie year in a pretty big way. Firstly, he increased his three-point percentage, which was absolutely huge for his development. Because while he was a good off-ball player to pair with LeBron last season, he just couldn't shoot the ball well. And we all know James plays his best basketball with snipers on the roster. So his improved three not only elevated his game, but it made him an even better overall fit with the team. He's shooting 37% on catch-and-shoot threes, and last season he shot under 35%. Another area he improved is his pull-up shooting threes. Last season, he shot just 14% on those types of threes, and it was only on half an attempt per game. But he's now shooting 40% on pull-up shooting threes on about the same number of attempts. So that's progression for sure. And just for context, he shot under 30% on threes in his last 2 years of college. So it's clear, he has been in the gym putting up a ton of shots. But now that we've gone over his shooting, let's talk about him driving and his finishing ability. He's shooting 54% on shots in the non-restricted area, and about 80% in the restricted area. And while it isn't on a lot of attempts, it's still very efficient numbers. One of his favorite go-to moves in the paint is his floater. He has a nice soft touch, and it's effective on either end of the hoop. And he mostly uses it in the pick and roll when the opposing team's defender focuses on the roll man. And like we mentioned earlier, Reaves is a high IQ basketball player and an even better decision maker. And that's why he's excellent in the pick and roll for the Lakers. Overall, he is a fearless finisher who has nice touch and finesse while also possessing the strength and body control to finish through contact when needed. But now let's focus on his passing ability, where he's averaging 3 assists per game. And honestly, he might just be the best passer on the team behind LeBron James. And yes, D'Angelo Russell and Dennis Schroeder are good playmakers, but Reaves is really the total package in this department. He's not the next Magic Johnson or anything, but he is a good passer, which again comes from his IQ and advanced feel for the game, even as a sophomore in the league. He's got great chemistry with his teammates and knows when and where they want the basketball. And this really shows in pick and roll situations. He can throw terrific passes down to the roller, which is usually AD, or he can throw an accurate and precise lob pass to either AD or Jared Vanderbilt. He's a natural secondary playmaker who can set up and run plays, or he can showcase his passing skills when driving and kicking the ball out. His cross-court passes are really underrated, and there's been plenty of times this season where he's whipped cross-court passes beautifully to an open shooter or premature cutter. He's really in the same category as like a Malcolm Brogdon, in the sense that he's just always making the right play, whether that be on or off ball. But now let's explore the other end of the court and talk about his defensive ability. Last season, he was a pretty solid defender who had some great moments, but this year he's a lot more concise defensively, and his feel on this end has made some solid progression. He's rarely lost or late on rotations, and that was a big problem for the Lakers last year just as a whole. But a lot of his improvement on defense comes from him gaining experience and hustling and competing harder than he usually does. And he's really gotten better as an on-ball defender. And although he isn't the quickest laterally, he makes up for it by using angles and cutting off offensive players' driving lanes. He's also very fundamentally sound defensively and very textbook. He's almost always in a proper defensive stance. He uses angles and he does a great job at closing out on shooters and contesting shots. And while Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis are the two enforcers on the defensive end for the Lakers, there are a lot of times when Reaves sets the tone by communicating and playing through physical defense or getting steals. And now that we know the player, let's talk about how his recent performances may have earned him a massive new contract. His best game of the season was on March 19th versus the Orlando Magic. He scored 35 points and had 6 rebounds and 6 assists. And he scored those 35 points really efficiently. He shot 9 for 14 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and an astounding 16 for 18 from the free throw line. And that is a lot of free throws in a single game. But the thing is, in the month of March, Reaves' free throw attempts have skyrocketed to 7.1 per game. He's always been good at drawing fouls, but he has taken it to another level. And most of those drawn fouls came from when LeBron James was out with that ankle injury. James's absence made Austin Reaves a lot more aggressive and assertive on the offensive end, which led to him getting to the rim more than ever. But back to that Lakers vs. Magic game, he played phenomenal. And that was really the start of a great stretch he's been on. Right now, he's averaging 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 7.6 assists over his last 8 games. He has been playing like a borderline all-star these past few weeks or so. March 22nd versus the Suns, he scored 25 points and dished out an impressive 11 assists. And just like with the Magic game, he was ultra efficient again, shooting 6 for 10 from the field and 12 for 13 from the free throw line. We just really like his game. And speaking of the word like, please make sure to like this video and subscribe for more NBA videos just like this one. We really appreciate it. But back to Reaves. These recent incredible performances are why many Laker fans are discussing his future contract. Because remember, he only signed a 2-year, $2.4 million deal, and it's gonna be up this year. According to multiple reports, the max the Lakers can offer him is a 4-year, $50 million contract. And honestly, if we were Rob Pelinka, we would be pulling the trigger on this deal immediately to secure AR-15. Pun kind of intended. The Lakers do not need to make the same mistake they made letting go of Alex Caruso. And while Caruso is far better as a defender, Reaves is definitely the better all-around player, and is an even better fit with LeBron James and the Lakers. And the Lakers shouldn't really be concerned about money. They have the pieces to be a really good team next year. They've got a superstar in Anthony Davis, who just turned 30 years old, still young. They've got Jared Vanderbilt, a Defensive Player of the Year caliber defender who's just 23. D'Angelo Russell, who can get you 17 to 20 points a night, who is just 27. And then they've got relatively young veterans like Lonnie Walker, Dennis Schroeder, and Troy Brown Jr. on the roster. So it's not like they're missing any huge piece, unless they're going to go all out for Kyrie Irving this offseason, but that's a topic for a totally different video. But what do you think? Should the Los Angeles Lakers re-sign Austin Reaves? Let us know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.